Hey everyone, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad, and I am beyond excited to talk about Star Ocean: The Second Story R. This is, after so many games of trying, the first Star Ocean game I actually finished. Probably the fourth or fifth one I've tried. I made it close with the Divine Force a couple of years ago, and that came out. I put like 30 hours in and just kind of petered out at the end. Years and years, like a decade or two ago, I almost finished Till the End of Time. I put a lot of time into that one, never bothered to get around to finishing it. I am very, very excited that I finally get to talk about Star Ocean, because it's a series I'm incredibly interested in until I start to play them. And I'm normally pretty hooked for about 4 or 5 hours, and then I just, somewhere after that, I just slowly fade out. So, to get into Second Story R, this is a remake of Second Story, which is the second game in the series. And I think it follows a lot of the normal kind of cliches that Star Ocean does, but something about this one just really, really clicked with me. So I kind of want to focus more so on why this one clicked, more so than on exactly what it is and all that kind of stuff. So I want to kind of hit the highlights of why this one worked for me. But before we get to those, just a quick what is this? So if you're completely unfamiliar with Star Ocean, the basic concept of every game is I always equate it to a Star Trek episode where the ship is flying around an underdeveloped planet, and some way or another you get stranded on that planet, but you can't use your phasers, you can't use your transporters, you can't use any of that stuff because you're on an underdeveloped planet and you don't want them to see it. That's kind of the basic hook of most of the Star Ocean games. Same thing here. You kind of find this mysterious thing and it transports you to this underdeveloped planet. You have no idea where you are, none of that kind of thing is how it starts. Very similar to most of them. And again, like I said, most of these hook me in the first few hours because I absolutely love that story. The thing about Star Ocean that normally knocks me out of them is from there it normally turns into a fairly standard JRPG fantasy thing of, okay, what are the problems on this world? I'm going to hide all of my high-tech space stuff for the most part, and then try and solve your problems as if I lived on this planet, but secretly I know way more than you. And again, getting back to why this one hit me is you got more into the, like, okay, there's some weird outer space stuff, there's some different civilizations, planets, aliens, that kind of thing that come into this. I feel like a lot quicker than I've ever seen in another Star Ocean game. You get back to that extraterrestrial, that moving past the just standard JRPG story way quicker in this one than I feel like you do in the other one. But for Second Story, you can pick two different main protagonists, Rena or Claude. I picked Claude. He's the guy on a spaceship. He's actually the son of the first Star Ocean game, which I played I think it was PSP remake of that one for a little bit and never got into it. But anyway, you play his son. You're the one who gets transported there. And the game actually has a really fun hook, which is the two characters meet in the woods when she sees you use your laser to shoot, I don't remember what it is, some kind of monster thing. And she assumes that you are the hero of light because light has shined forth off of you to defeat this monster, which is just a really fun, clever hook to get that. That's kind of the basic premise here. And then from there, Claude goes around and is trying to figure out what's going on this planet. But again, you get to, okay, why is Claude here? What are the bigger events that are happening galaxy-wide versus just this little, like, oh, there's something weird going on here that you would normally get in a JRPG. And again, this one hints at it really quick because there's this weird thing called the sorcery globe, which to anyone playing this is very clearly something from outer space that's coming and messing with stuff. So right away, you know we're going to get to that stuff really quick. So to really focus in on why this one kind of stood out to me, I think, and why I was able to make it through this one, because I think that ultimately I loved it. Like, this is a really, really good JRPG. So why this one, I think, kind of broke through. There's a few different things that I kind of realized as I was going through this one. Again, it's short and sweet kind of type of feeling where I think I put like 30 hours into the Divine Force and I was probably 80% done with it. But this one, I think I was 20 hours almost flat, start to finish with it. Not doing too much exploration. I only had 7 characters. You can get a party of up to 8. I landed with 7. So obviously not 100%ing it, but I made it through with relative ease in 20 hours. It also really, really hits that, like, what I want a Star Ocean to be, where it is, okay, we're on this underdeveloped planet. We're on this planet that doesn't have any technology, but we're real quick moving past that. We're not dwelling on that for The characters in this are also really fun. Lots of just general archetype things, but they're really well written. Specifically, the game has private actions, which a lot of JRPGs do. Tales does a lot of them, where it's you go into a certain area, and once you're in the town or in this whatever it is, vista clearing, whatever, you can go walk around. You can talk to the characters. I love Tales games, but I'm going to be honest, I skip a lot of these in Tales games just because they're bad. They're normally so just blah whatever. Okay, click 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 click. Okay, cool. I got my +2 to relationship or my 20 XP or whatever for doing it. This one though, it actually felt like they're kind of creating a world a little bit more just with how the characters were interacted because they're so well written. The two leads play off of each other really well. You've got Diaz, who's this kind of grumpy rival character that just kind of shows up, who's very interesting as well. So the characters are interacting really, really well. It's really well written. I feel like probably like 75% of them were actually interesting, which is well higher and above any other JRPG I've played that has these kind of private action things. Most of it's like, I don't know, maybe 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 hits. And it's like, ooh, that's interesting. But these were really, really well done. You get a great sense of the world. You get a great sense of the characters. And I think it's just because this game in particular, for whatever reason, I was just very invested into what's going on with the sorcery globe and okay, how are these characters reacting to Claude because they do know some of the things about him having a laser. They kind of know that he's out of place. So you got a lot of things like that I think just worked really, really well. The other thing with this I think worked really well is the villains in this. So once you find out what the sorcery cube is and you kind of get this idea, there's a very, very clear Act 1 and Act 2. I think it's a disc change originally on the original PlayStation version, but you get a very, very hard cut of like, okay, Act 1 is like, what's the sorcery globe thing? Act 2 is, okay, we're in some crazy, crazy stuff here. You've got planets that have gone missing. You've got borderline time travel. You've got spaceships. You've got all kinds of weird stuff. You've got resurrecting characters. You get all kinds of stuff happening in the second act that kind of just kind of goes off the rails a little bit, but is always really, really held together. You've got kind of a fun evil villain group, the 10 Wise Men. Just the way the story's written kind of hooked me in because, again, you've got this good exploration of something weird's going on in the first act and a great villain cast in the second. Finally, I think the combat in this is just good, basic fun. There is not a ton to it. It is pretty much you've got an attack button, you can dodge, you've got your shoulder buttons, just L1 and R1 will link to one of your special abilities. That's it. You can kind of pop between your 4 characters that are active in your party, use whichever one you want at a time. Lots of just knowing what's set for them to do. They kind of go and do their thing. It's simple, it's straightforward. And I think, I don't know, maybe it was just the time when I was playing it, but I was just kind of in the mood for this, that, okay, yep, I can go hit my action button, action button, action button, action button, do a couple moves here, dodge here, and we're through. Just very, very basic. You get lots of abilities to play with. There are a ton of back-end systems in this in terms of just how you develop characters and what's going on with them. A little confused on still what a few of the things did, just because there's so many of these systems. You can be a writer, you can get different points for that. You can combine items. You can do all this different stuff. There's probably 20 different things there. There's when you get different points at the end of battles, you get one to kind of just straight upgrade your stats. Some give you like weird temporary boosts in battle and random boosts in battle. There's a lot of upgrading going on. It seems like as long as you're leveling up, you're fine. I never really noticed like, okay, if I do this, this is happening. You just kind of as long as you're leveling up and you're staying kind of on that number of where you need to be level-wise, it works out pretty well. All that to say, Star Ocean Second Story is a fantastic game. I think in a series that has been a consistent disappointment to me, not to be too rough on it, but it's been one of those series where every time I see a game, I am super excited just because the concept seems so cool to me and it's such a unique take on okay, we're doing just this kind of classic, the fabled hero has come, but in these Star Ocean games, the fabled hero is always this person from space, and they're a hero not because of some crazy thing, but they're just a hero because they know more. They're from space. They have the technology. They've seen these things play out. So I've always felt like this is a series that I should love and I should enjoy. I love JRPGs. I love the sci-fi. Again, I hearken a lot of it back to Star Trek. It fits a lot of Star Trek stuff that I like. And it's just so nice to finally have one of these that I actually enjoyed and I actually made it through. So more than anything else, I'm just thankful that this game exists so I can finally say I've started a Star Ocean game and I finished a Star Ocean game. Because again, it's been anywhere from 3 hours to 30 hours of how long I've made it through these things, and just it's never clicked like this one has. And I think there's something special about that in and of itself, of playing a game series over and over and over again until you finally get that one that clicks. Probably spent $300 worth of games on Star Ocean games, and I finally actually made it through one. But not only is it a great Star Ocean game, but I would say that it is definitely one of the better JRPGs to come out in the last few years, especially with all the remasters, remakes, all those things that have kind of floated around and come out and just kind of been pushed to just kind of. I definitely think this one stands head and shoulders above a lot of those classics that have come out in new packages. With that, we are Workforce Gaming. Subscribe to our channel, leave a comment below. There's links to support us on Coffee as well. We'll see you later.